Joining us now to discuss what the numbers say and what they don't is Mark Mitchell, head pollster at Rasmussen Reports, and one of the most honest voices in data journalism. Follow him on X. Coincidentally, his name is @HonestPollster. Mark, welcome to the show.
To be here. Love the music.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, we try and get them bopping. This is like a show for people who actually have jobs, wake up early enough and want to get some news before the day starts. We make them laugh, and we also sometimes make them cry. So are Trump's people seeing the same numbers you are? Because you seem to be one of the only guys who's sort of calling out some differences in the polls. All the polls that I'm seeing from all the King's horses and all the King's men say all is fine, nothing to see here.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, one of the things that happens in the industry is that basically people will just cherry pick whatever number. And it's really wild. Like, people are bad at this job. I just looked a couple weeks ago, and the highest Trump approval at the time was us at +8, and Gallup was there with like a -17. So when you have two big names in the industry that are almost 30 points apart, you're going to get people picking things for their own narrative. And even like Trump kind of does it too, because he just said, oh, our numbers are doing great. And he used Quinnipiac, but Quinnipiac's a laughing stock. And the only reason that Quinnipiac had his numbers going up is because they had him at like -20 like a month ago. So, it happens, but I know they follow me, and we're the only ones that track daily. So it's like you're comparing Quinnipiac now to where it was in the beginning of June. You don't know. Is that noise? With us, you can see the steady signal. And what happened is Trump was like soaring on a whole lot of wins. He was at +8 in the middle of June. And this was like when Gavin Newsom was burning down LA. And, things were going well. He's getting all these foreign investment deals. Then what happened is like a whole lot of losses all at once. And were they Trump losses? I don't know, but people noticed them, and his numbers plunged, and he got from +8 to -4. We're talking about Israel attacking Iran, the one big beautiful bill, kind of like everybody not knowing what to think about it. And then this Epstein stuff, I really think it affected his numbers. I really think it hurt him. Now his numbers are back up a little bit, but this isn't a blip. I think that this structurally changed some things, and it's a question about how much and how long it's going to last, and we just don't know yet.
When you work in the media business like I do, and I assume you understand this as well, there's a lot of noise and very little signals. So when I see somebody kind of going against the mainstream narratives, or when I see, or hear someone like yourself saying something different than what the mainstream or the herd is all saying, this is why I brought you on my show to talk about some of the findings that you're showing today, because I think that this could be the canary in the coal mine here when we talk about exactly who the demographics are that are departing Trump, at least according to Rasmussen Reports. Approval ratings with independents and black voters, two groups that helped him close the gap. Right, they're not starting to slide. I mean, they've been sliding. Talk to us first about independence and what this might mean in regards to the midterms.
Well, in our polls, Trump won independents back in the fall, and that's a really big deal because those are politically homeless, normies who are just voting for the first time, people who are former Democrats and hate the party, just all kinds of folks like that, right? And Trump appealed to those people. And I think it wasn't all because people love Trump. A lot of it was because Biden was just absolutely freaking horrible and people didn't have a choice. And so these are people that didn't vote for Republicans before, a lot of them, and they gave Republicans a chance. They gave Trump a chance. And here's the thing is Trump's numbers will recover, but I don't know about the Republicans. Trump built a big tent, but you look at the Republican Party, it's still pretty much the party of Mitt Romney and John McCain. So that's a terrible situation, and Trump's not going to be on the ballot again, right? So I'm watching independents, and he comes into this after his inauguration really well. He was record high right direction polling. We had a majority of people thinking that his second term was going to be the beginning of a golden era. His numbers with 18 to 39-year-olds was through the freaking roof, and he was +6 with independents. Well, I just checked right after the Epstein stuff back at the end of last week. He was underwater 19 points. That's horrifying. That's a 25-point drop. And will he get some of that back? Yeah, he already did. He's like underwater 14. But that's not where you want to be. You have to win those people. And Republicans definitely have to win those people. And what they should be worrying about is like Trump should have a 60% approval rating, and they should be trying to convert Trump voters with what they're doing. And they're not doing it because this whole election, people want to say it was about the economy. It was about institutional trust, rule of law, justice, grievances, those kind of things. Deep down, that's super hard to poll on. But we have almost 95% of voters agreeing that it's important that we not have a two-tiered system of justice, and then we just let all these theoretical child predators go. And so that's the problem is Trump is having wins, but you can't just, not everybody's a Trump sycophant out there. They're just not, and they're watching this stuff. And I think he's going to have a long leash, but Republicans are already underwater in the generic ballot. And I think they kind of need to win this one, right? I think this is probably a pretty big one in the fall.
No, certainly.
So
certainly it is. Mark, you talked about two-tiered system of justice. And when you had discussed that on X, I thought it was interesting. You talked about that and potentially being one of the reasons, and again, this is just speculation, for why so many black voters were also deserting him. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Certainly. Now, as a caveat, people will look at the exit polling and say, oh, Rasmussen's black numbers look nothing like theirs. Well, exit polling is polling too, and pretty much everybody that's mainstream is horrible at polling. And I think my numbers are right. And it's been mind-blowing. I had Trump north of 50% some of these weeks in the last couple of months with black voters. That's incredible. That's game-changing. That would be the death of the Democrat Party. And he's in the 20s again. And I think that it happened over the last month or so. I think Epstein was a real reason. And the reason I say that is because we have a lot of polling about the stuff that they did weaponizing the judicial system against Trump. And the black voters there polled much more conservatively than they do on other things. And so I think this idea of going after Trump, trying to prevent him from running by convicting him with a whole bunch of BS charges really stood out to them. And I look at this Epstein thing, and to me, that's the parallel. We'll never know, and we'll see what happens with their numbers. But he could have just lost a ton of black voters, and that would be horrifying.
Talk to us a little bit about the Trump's DOJ appointees claiming there's no Epstein client list. Do you think that this is kind of the moment MAGA voters start to question if justice will ever really come to the elites? Because it used to be a common saying that Trump could assassinate someone in Fifth Avenue and no one would care. It seems as though a lot of typical MAGA people really do care, even though Trump is telling them not to care.
Yeah. I mean, he's so good at brute forcing, having a vision and just messaging it and getting his way. He really is. But I don't think it's going to work on this one. And you use the phrase canary in the coal mine. I think that really is what it's about. Because remember, this is the Biden administration where people thought the FBI was his personal Gestapo, where they thought the DOJ turned into a banana republic, where, all the small businesses were cracked down. They tried to shove an experimental vaccine down people's throats. That stuff's not going away. And then just because you get new people at the head of these institutions doesn't mean all of a sudden people are going to respect the FBI or think that the CIA didn't kill Kennedy or any of that stuff. And so that's what he's up against. And the problem is it's not just Epstein. There's a massive, massive laundry list of things that Americans need closure on, like the vaccines. There's probably a list of 20 primary things. And the Epstein is a very salient one where Trump could have come in on day one and said, you know what? It is kind of creepy that all these billionaires were down there and we haven't even interviewed any of them. Let's just do that. Let's have an investigation. But we polled on this specifically, and Senate, the White House saw these numbers. And I don't know, it was before he blew up and said everybody was weak and he didn't want them. So I don't know what's happening there. But hopefully they're getting a tap on the shoulder down there because people are not believing. We asked two very specific questions. Do you believe the FBI and DOJ are telling the truth about Epstein's client list not existing? Only 21% believe that. Only 21%. And only 27% of Republicans, only 15% independents. That's a problem. Only 22% of black voters. So ostensibly, if black voters thought that Trump was on the Epstein, they're not going to believe this, right? Which is closer to your opinion? The Epstein case is now closed. There are dozens of powerful and wealthy offenders who need to face justice. Case closed, 16%. Wealthy offenders who need to face justice, 68%. So will he be able to brute force this? Maybe, but at what political cost? You can't just say, trust me, bro. I've been saying this on every show. This is based on everything that people have seen for the last decade about this guy. You can't make it go away.
If there was ever any doubt,
to have more evidence.
Yeah, if there was ever any doubt that the common man is out for CEO blood, just take a look at what they're doing to the CEO who cheated at the Coldplay concert. People want rich and powerful elites punished.
Yeah, that's right. I should poll on that. We got to talk about that guy.
There you go.
Man.
Just say you got it from Wake Up America show. Speaking to Mark Mitchell this morning here on the Wake Up America show, by the way, he's from Rasmussen Reports. You can follow him over on X at Honest Pollster. It looks like my audience already are big fans of yours, though. They probably follow you already. People like L Dubs and Y2 Joe and many others chatting about how much they really appreciate Mark Mitchell over at Rasmussen. Cool. And we're grateful that he's being so generous with his time. Another topic related for you. How much is foreign policy bleeding in? You know, Trump's strike on Iran was popular with the hawks, but it may have alienated some of the libertarian leaning or more anti-war voters. Is that showing up in your crosstabs?
Yeah, part of the problem is that like so much is happening that attribution is the thing. And I can say that there was definitely a red line with boots on the ground. We had less than a third who actually wanted to have troops go over and support Israel. So that was very clear. And I think it was roughly about half, I think 48, 49% who thought, yeah, okay, cool, let's bomb them with our Navy jets and stuff like that. But the strike to take out the nuclear programs was almost a 60% number before and after. And then the idea of Iranians not having a nuke is also very popular. That was in the 80s. So I would look at those numbers and say, you know what? Based on everything that happened here, Trump probably should have gotten a pickup, and he didn't. This was in the period where his numbers were starting to drop. And all I can surmise out of that is that Trump is a chaotic leader. He will change his direction based on information. I know he was getting a lot of conflicting information probably, and it looked chaotic. And I think that that's probably what happened here. A lot of people were super concerned that maybe he would make the wrong decision, and he didn't in retrospect, in my opinion. But it's hard to come out of that and look back and say, wow, you know, Trump did a great job. It was like, no, Israel attacked the neighboring country. A whole lot of bombs got exchanged. People were talking about us supporting them monetarily. There were questions about our implied backstop for Israeli invasion of Iran. Like, those are things where people are kind of concerned and confused. And so Trump's strength is certainly domestic policy. He needs to rebuild the American middle class. I'm happy that we're refocused on that.
Yeah, that was going to be my next man. You're perfectly segueing this for me, Mark, because my next question here is, you know, despite the dips, you know, where is Trump still strong? Are there any unexpected demos where he may be outperforming?
What I can tell you is that right now he's +2 in approval rating, which is exactly where he was in the fall. So he really hasn't, you know, it's not exactly oranges, apples to apples, but he hasn't lost or picked up anybody really. He's doing well with Republicans. He's not doing as well with independents. But what is happening is on some of the issues, his numbers are slipping a little bit. We're in the field now with questions about his economic numbers, and we'll see how those will come back. I can say economic confidence, our index in June had the highest print in 4 years. So that's good news, but it doesn't necessarily mean that people will credit Trump for that stuff as well. And he had, I think back in the fall, pretty close to a 50% excellent plus good rating on the economy. That's been going down. I mean, it's still north of 40. It's still better than Joe Biden polled on like any issue. But this is a problem. It's that Trump promised massive accountability, restructuring of our government. And I don't know if America's made up its mind on that yet, but the window is closing for these midterm elections, which again, I will say the Democrats are +2 right now in the generic ballot, according to Rich Barris. We're going to have our poll out this week on that as well. You know, historically, Democrats pick up seats. That means historically, Democrats are going to get control of the Congress. That means Trump's legislative agenda is going to grind to a halt. What little there has been already, and Republicans probably will laugh behind their, beers about it at Trump because they want to lose. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. And then, God forbid, the Democrats get control of the Senate. We're going to have impeachment hearings. We're going to have investigate. They're going to run on an Epstein, and they're going to put an Epstein commission together the very first day they get into power. That's kind of our future. Now, like, two things can be true at the same time. The Democrat national leadership position issue is an absolute joke right now. Like, they are literally clown car. But that doesn't mean that they can't get 46, 47% of the electorate to turn out. It doesn't mean that their midterm electorate is going to be inflamed because Trump's in office, and the Republican one isn't, because Trump's a big tent of low propensity voters right now. So this is a dangerous situation. As far as I know, Republicans have no plan whatsoever to fix that. And obviously Trump might. He's going to stump real hard. He's probably got other tricks up his sleeve. What are John Thune and Mike Johnson doing right now? Maybe there's stuff going on behind the scenes, but from what I'm hearing, not a hell of a lot. They're all talking with their big business backers about how great it would be to have amnesty. That's what they're talking about.
Well, I mean, I'm more on the liberty side of things, so I mean, it doesn't freak me out. I'm a little more Reagan-esque on those things, but I know where the Republican Party is right now, and to them, that's like throwing acid in their faces. So
yeah, it's not a good thing.
It's definitely not a good thing for the Republican base. For me, it's
that gets to the two-tiered standard of justice, though. Like, here's the problem, right? And everybody frames it. Oh, look at these horrible illegal aliens that are on government, backing, and all this stuff. And they get the hotels and all of this again, like grievance stuff, which is
Karen
a fertile
Bass
field for sure.
Him out. Gavin Newsom wants to hand him cash. Yeah. Yes, I get it.
But you don't see anybody in the administration calling out business owners who run businesses on illegal labor. You just don't.
True. They don't, because they honestly probably get a lot of donations and money from a lot of those corporations that hire them, because as much as it's not a popular talking point, it really is hard to get young Americans of certain demographics to show up for those kinds of jobs. You give them a college education and then say, go work at one of the big things that they said recently is all the Zoomers were mad because liberals and libertarians were saying things like, go work there's jobs available at Panda Express and Buc-ee's. Yeah. But the younger generation thinks that they're too good to work at Buc-ee's or Panda Express. So it is a bit of a cultural challenge.
The market will set the price, right? If Buc-ee's can only be run with illegal labor, then probably they shouldn't be in business, right? Or they need to change their business model. And if avocados are really that hard to pick, maybe they should be $5 instead of $4. I'm just saying, right?
No. All right. That's it, Mark Mitchell. You had us and you lost us. This is the libertarian audience here.
Oh, no.
And we are avocado toast eaters over on this one. You'll find we're the avocado toast wing of the Republican Party. But last question for you. If you were advising Trump's team, where would you tell them to double down and where do they need to tread lightly?
They need a plan. And again, maybe they have one, but they need a plan for 26. And this is my wild one. I would say John Thune and Mike Johnson need to ignore all of the screaming, wailing business owners and military industrial complex lobbyists and blah, 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 blah. They need to get rid of the nuclear, use the nuclear option, get rid of the 60-vote filibuster in the Senate. I know that makes everybody in Washington, D.C. clutch pearls, but Americans are fed up with Washington, D.C. They want a massive change. They wanted the government shut down. They know how D.C. operates, and they're not getting what they want. Get rid of that filibuster rule and then pass a popular one-page bill every day until November 2026. Every day. I will pull on new ones for you. We'll test them all, right? But election integrity, bipartisan voter audits, paper ballots, voter ID, like these are great places to start. Get rid of the machines. Maybe mandate e-verify. You probably don't like that one. But I'm just saying these things are overwhelmingly positive. And that's one way. And then the other way is, okay, you have $11 billion investigative arm of the federal government. What are you doing with it right now? First off, have you fired anybody? Have you fired anybody in the CIA and listen, I know everybody that helped potentially allegedly kill Kennedy is dead. That doesn't mean it's not the same CIA. Like, who's been fired? What accountability has come to these agencies? Give us a weekly accountability report and a weekly report of every new investigation that you've opened. Like, why not? We're paying $11 billion. What are we getting out of the FBI? We see what we're getting out of ICE. What are we getting out of the FBI?
Oh, God. Yeah. You know what? We're getting a lot of pain. A lot of watching Dan Bongino and Kash Patel say Epstein killed himself, and quite frankly, it's not been hitting home, Mark.
No, if it's true, then give us a report. If it's true, then you provide something more than, here's a video that is just going to heighten the conflict, right?
Yeah, just give us a video that doesn't have a minute edited out of it. Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen Reports. Exactly. Hey, Mark, you got a lot of big fans in the audience. Where should they follow you or find out more about your work? Where should they go?
Rasmussen_poll on YouTube is the best place. We stream a couple times a week. Probably going to stream tonight and Wednesday. You know, summer schedule, 9 p.m. Eastern. Be there.
Mark Mitchell, Rasmussen Reports. You can follow him on X personally at Honest Pollster, and he is an honest pollster, and that's why we love having him on the show. We'll have to have you back. Thanks so much, Mark. We appreciate you very much.